science is supporting the idea of materialistic views, wherein they want to support that, because if they don't, then they come into another problem of consciousness, right? Which may come that it is outside the brain, right, and not just within the brain. So,
Mm.
talking about that on a conscious level and materialistic ideas, what are materialists in the first place for people who might not know or hearing in India for the first time? What are these materialistic views?
Well, materialism is the doctrine that matter is the only reality. And by matter, they include physical fields, of course, so matter and energy, the contents of physics. It's in its modern version sometimes called physicalism.
Hmm.
And what that says is that matter is the only reality. The universe is made of matter. Matter is unconscious, and matter is purposeless. Matter just works automatically, mechanistically, like billiard balls colliding with another, pushing the others off in different directions. It's a mechanical system. Like a machine doesn't need consciousness to operate. It works through mechanical parts that are coordinated mechanically or programmed by a computer. So what it's saying is the universe has no purpose, no direction. There's no God, no gods, no consciousness out there. Everything in the universe has just evolved with no purpose. Evolution is just a matter of chance and natural selection. And consciousness, human consciousness ought not to exist, because if everything's unconscious, how come we're conscious? Now, this is the biggest problem for materialists.
True.
It's called the hard problem. We ought not to be conscious, and yet we are. So some materialist philosophers argue that we're not really conscious at all, that it doesn't, or if we are, it's just like a shadow of the activity of the brain. It doesn't do anything. No such thing as free will. And others argue that consciousness is nothing but an illusion produced by the brain. But as critics of that view have pointed out, illusion is itself a mode of consciousness. So saying that it's an illusion doesn't dissolve the problem of consciousness,
Yes.
it presupposes it. So, and that's why it's called the hard problem, because every time a materialist tries to explain away consciousness, they run up into a problem, yet consciousness just won't go away, despite the attempt of so-called eliminative materialists to pretend it doesn't exist. Then, of course, it raises another problem for the materialists, because they say that everything you say and do is because you're a kind of zombie with a genetically programmed computer brain. Everything you say and do, you do because your brain makes you do it. But then what about their own belief in materialism? That's just something their brain makes them say. So why should we take it seriously? And why should they try and persuade you or me to be materialists, claiming philosophical arguments or even scientific evidence, if we ourselves are nothing but genetically programmed computers? So it's not really consistent, and I think it's self-refuting.